Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Crimes Among Us. Today we will be discussing the case of Moon Taeil. But before we get into that, we have a special guest here with us today. Sakina, say hi.
Hello everyone, my name is Sakina and I have been studying murder and crime cases and was invited to answer a few questions about the case of Moon Taeil on today's episode. Thank you so much for having me, Alisia.
Oh, you're welcome.
I don't know why we're laughing, but anyway, how long have you been doing podcasts for and what made you want to do them?
Well, I've always liked to speak my mind, and hearing all these different kinds of stories and cases, I've decided to put both of them together.
Wow, that's great. A lot of people really enjoy listening to your podcasts, me being one of them. I'm your biggest fan, by the way. Hashtag fangirling right now. Anyway, shall we get started?
Yeah. We shall. Trigger warning. In this episode, we are discussing a very serious topic involving sexual assault that may be very sensitive to most people. So if you know you can't handle this type of subject, don't worry. We'll see you in the next one. Now, let's get started. Now, everyone has a favorite famous person. Could be an actor, a sports player, or even an influencer. Think about them in 3 seconds. 3, 2, 1. Okay, good. Now think about them doing something bad or like totally out of ordinary. 3, 2, 1. Kinda hard, right? That is because we have such high standards for them. It seems abnormal seeing them doing something so heinous. This brings us back to the case of Moon Taeil, which brings me to my first question. Can you summarize the case? What exactly happened?
A former member of NCT, a very popular K-pop group, is currently under investigation involving the sexual assault of a minor. SM Entertainment informs K-pop fans that Taeil is currently under investigation by the prosecution for a criminal case, which is grounds for termination of his exclusive contract, and he can no longer be trusted as an artist. Taeil is under investigation and is being inquired about the allegations he is facing.
Oh wow, so this was pretty recent, huh?
Yeah, he's still being held under investigation right now. Do you know who he is? I know you're a K-pop fan just like me. So, if so, how do you feel about it right now?
Well, yes, actually, I am a fan, and it was pretty shocking to hear this was going on. I immediately knew I had to make an episode on this.
Yeah, it was pretty shocking for me too. But I bet it was even more shocking for NCTzens, the fandom for NCT. I wonder how the rest of NCT feels about this. Probably embarrassed. At the end of the day, they're still idols and they have to stay professional, so I guess now we won't know.
Well, in my opinion, I think they reacted just as shocked as we were, but they had to keep it professional. Speaking of confidentiality, that brings me to my second question. The victim didn't speak up earlier. Why do you think that is?
I believe the victim didn't speak up earlier because of a few reasons. The National Sexual Violence Resource Center shares that a person may choose not to report or tell anyone about a victimization they experience for many reasons, including a fear of not being believed, shame or fear of being blamed, or pressure from others.
Well, there are a lot of people who don't speak up about victimizations they are facing because of these fears. I can imagine how that feels. It must be terrifying.
Definitely. Taeil is a K-pop idol. He's a celebrity who is very famous and has lots of fans supporting him in the group he is a part of. Compared to Taeil, the victim is just an ordinary person, and people would start accusing and degrading the victim, thinking they made it up just to tarnish the celebrity's reputation. It's scary how understandable this is.
I can't believe the stress the victim has to go through. With the fear that no one will believe them just because of some shallow fans, that's honestly scary.
I agree. To be in that kind of situation is terrifying, and my heart goes out to the victim and their family.
Yes, exactly. This brings me to my next question, and this is for all the K-pop fans and NCTzens who are watching this podcast. Do you think NCTzens should still stand the group?
I'm glad you brought this up, actually, because NCTzens and other K-pop fans should still stand the group. That's because only one member did something very wrong, causing himself to tarnish his reputation. I guess you could say he went from singing Cherry Bomb to his career being bombed. Jeez, tough crowd.
Yeah. But yes, I believe we should still stand the rest of the group because they didn't know about Tail's behavior and they haven't done anything wrong. Although I can understand why people would choose not to support the rest of the group because we never know what happens behind closed doors. And since the truth of Tail came out, people are becoming more cautious.
Oh yeah, I can see why they think that. It kind of reminds me of the saying, one rotten apple spoils the whole bunch. And right now, that fits the situation because NCT is receiving a lot of backlash because of Tail. But that doesn't mean that every single member did something wrong. So in conclusion, the other members didn't do anything wrong, so I believe they should still be stand. Just not Tail.
Yes, exactly. We don't want the group to lose support because without the support, they lose interest. And without the interest, they lose money. Do you see where I'm going with this?
Yeah, I get what you're saying. And we don't want that to happen because a lot of people enjoy the music and it seems like they're passionate about making music and making people happy.
Right. Shout out to NCT. But while we're talking about the group, why do you think Tail hasn't made a statement about the situation
Honestly, I think Tail didn't say anything because he's embarrassed and guilty.
yet? Oh, really? Tell me more.
Well, there's a trend that's been going around of YouTubers and influencers doing really, really bad things and making really fake apology videos where they don't mean anything that they said. Most of the time, the video turns back at them as the love and support switches to backlash and hate.
Oh, yes. I see what you mean. I also noticed that half of the videos are fully scripted and not from the heart, while the other half is filled with sarcasm.
And even though that isn't the exact case in the situation, it still might be considered because I believe that Taylor and his legal team didn't come out with a statement at the moment because they realized that not a lot of people would side with them right now and that they would only receive more hate than before.
In my opinion, that is honestly the best option, not to come out on social media right now, because people would obviously not believe him. But before we end this, I have one more question. Do you think we'll get our answers soon?
I think that's the question on everybody's mind right now. I mean, I do think we'll get answers because, SM is going to keep updating us.
I agree, because I don't think anyone's gonna forget about this just yet, since there's still more questions that are left unanswered.
Exactly. And remember, this case was really recent, and there's still more information to be discovered by the police and the investigator. SM Entertainment has kept us up with updates on where Tail is right now and in the future, too. On Twitter, or I guess X, they released a statement saying, "We would like to inform you that our exclusive contract with Tail has been terminated as of October 15, 2024. SM Entertainment promised that they were going to keep updating us on the situation, so."
Oh wow, this is good to know that they're still gonna keep on updating us on what's happening, because most companies let this kind of stuff go. But SM proved that they still want to keep their supporters and fans filled in on what's happening, and not just to let their questions be unanswered.
Yes, it gives us really helpful information on what's been happening in this case. I'm glad they took their time to do that.
Yeah, me too. Well, this has been a really good discussion. Thank you so much, Sakina, for coming on to my podcast and for answering some of my many, many different questions.
No, don't worry about it. It was my pleasure. You're good at what you do, and I'm so glad I came because this was just a really good discussion.
Thank you, thank you. This actually might be one of my favorite cases I've covered on my podcast. There's just so many questions that make it interesting, you know?
Yes, I totally get what you mean. Out of all the cases I've done, this is by far one of my favorite because of the mystery behind it and how it's still ongoing.
Yup, I knew it. I knew you liked that part. Well, shall we say our goodbyes to our audience?
I guess you could say Tail is going to jail. See what I did there?
Anyways, we should say goodbye.
Yeah, we should.
Okay.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.